Hey Ginger, this is Billy with Newsong. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Billy. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So, are you ready for this tour?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm actually in the parking lot at First Woodstock right now. The bus is getting boarded and leaving for New York, so we're we're still doing stuff before we even get to the Racist Live tour.
Well, you're busy all year, though, really. I mean, you've
Yeah,
got
we try to stay busy.
with Winter Jam and putting that together, and you've got so much going on all year long, but especially during the winter, you're very booked.
Yeah, but we're thankful. I mean, we could be sitting at home asking God, please give us something to do.
Well, I have to thank you guys for, being the instigators of this tour because this greatest hits live tour, it's like I grew up in the mid 80s, so like every single person on there, like I probably from their very beginning was a fan and followed their careers. So it's like taking my jukebox and putting it in a time machine and putting it on a tour.
Oh, hey, that's exactly it. And I feel the same way because we've toured with I think all these artists over the years, but they fall in that same category. These are the folks we listened to on radio, grew up with. I say grew up with, but we listened to them on the radio and loved. And I think they need to be heard today. So it's great. And we were so thrilled that we got as many as we could get on the tour to try. We've been wanting to do this for years. This is the first year that an opportunity seemed to come up that we could try to put one together. So we're really looking forward to it and excited about what's going to happen.
And you're doing like, is it 7 cities in like 2 weeks, something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's so incredible that you're able to put that many different different bands from the last handful of decades, depending on which one it is, and some of them newer than that, obviously. But like these are just these are songs that I think you don't hear enough on the radio, and we need to continue to play this kind of music. I don't think people realize the power of some of these bands, like they see you on Winter Jam and they think you're awesome, but then they don't realize there's all the other groups that toured around the same time you did that just don't get heard. They don't.
Yeah.
And huge fan. I can't even be in the room when Butterfly Kisses comes on. I don't think. But some of these songs, like they're so emotionally tied to something I was going through at the time. Like these songs like helped me get through raising my kids. My kids were born in the early '90s, so
Uh-huh.
so
I understand.
yeah.
Yes.
See, so that's when about
Yeah.
some of y'all you guys started.
Yeah, and again, that's the reason we're so excited about it. As a matter of fact, I think Avalon, Jody McBrayer he's come back to join Avalon, and they're going to actually they're going to do another project and maybe start doing some touring again. So that's incredible there.
Yeah, and
You know?
when I talked to Rebecca St. James, she said it was kind of cool because she had kind of helped her brothers on their latest album, and then doing this, she's like it like reignited in her starting to write again. Like
Yeah.
reignited that in them, and I don't want everybody else to come back. Nicole C. Mullen came out with a new single this year, and I squealed. I was like, yes, like I mean, I missed her so much. She was like, she wasn't off the radar. She was still very busy, but we just weren't getting the singles sent to us as radio. So, and we're just inundated with so many singles. But there's such an incredible tour with so many special favorites. And what's funny is when I asked some fans like if they had any questions, and Elizabeth, I think her name is Elizabeth Leith. She said, and this is like a loaded question, I realize, but what is one of your favorite moments of touring?
You're talking to me?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that's a hard
Just pick
question.
one.
Well,
Or maybe one of the best aspects of it.
there is. I mean, I don't know that I can name a specific one, but there's a time during most every concert or most every tour that I get reminded. Uh, God reminds me the invitation has been given. We've sung and shared, and we poured our hearts out, and then we offer people a chance to respond. And I look in the crowd, and I can see on the faces the emotion that's being stirred up, and I see people actually responding to what God is doing in their heart. And it dawns on me that I get to do this. I get to let God use me, and I get to see Him work. That'll get me on the bus to go to another city. And that's the motivation. I mean, we've been doing this 37 years, Newsong, and the motivation today is the same that started us 37 years ago, and that is to watch God move and enjoy seeing what He does best in changing lives.
You know what, I think you guys were doing Winter Jam as well as doing your own touring. Like, I think somehow, I don't know if you guys got like a focus group or what you're doing, but you have the pulse of your finger on the pulse of what's going on and what's needed. Like the styles of bands you put together and things like that. Do you guys have a specific like way of figuring that out? Because you're hitting it, and then you put out Greatest Hits live tour, and you guys are really hitting like all the buttons that need to be pressed.
Well, listen, I have to give Eddie Carswell. He's the other old guy in Newsong.
Yeah, I know who. Yeah, I'm pretty sure who he is. Yeah,
he's the one that has that uncanny gift to know what the general public would listen to or what would impact the general public. And we surround ourselves with folks that can give us, objective opinions and advice. And we pray about all this stuff. Well, like I said, we've wanted to do this tour for a few years, but it just hasn't become something that was viable. This year, God sort of opened the door for us to try it. So we're trying it. And we're just trusting Him if it's something He wants us to do, we're going to stay at it. Again, it's the desire to try to reach out to as many people as we can with the message that has changed our lives, that keeps us going. We found the truth, and we want other people to know it, because life is so much better when you understand why God put you here.
And I think I hope that this hits very well with people, because if this hits well, you think you have a banquet of artists to choose from to do another one. Like, there's so many people, like the Sandy Patties, and people who have been touring forever. I mean, there's so many people you could put together for another one, like any day. I mean, there's so many artists that people have. I think for this tour, like I said, every single artist has a song, if not more than one song, that I can tie to my kid raising, where that song kept me sane through getting through kindergarten or getting through junior high. I listened to a lot of it in high school, and when they were in high school, they're in their 20s now. But my son is a huge fan of yours, and I'm like, this is so cool, because I grew up loving your stuff. I mean, I grew up in the 80s, so like you guys were just getting going around when I was like, I guess in middle school or high school, somewhere in that. I can't remember now. What year did you start?
81.
Yeah, so I was in middle school at gosh, I don't even know. I think I was in middle school maybe a couple years after that. So like, yeah, so but I grew up loving you guys, and because there wasn't a lot to pick from, so I would just kind of grasp at anything they would play on the radio, because there was only 10 artists.
there are a couple of things that we're really asking God to do in this tour. Number one is to open the door this year for getting other artists to come out and make this an annual tour that we can bring back all of those artists that were such an impact on us. I mean, contemporary Christian music was sort of in its infancy.
Yeah.
And these artists were making fabulous music and having great messages. The other thing we want to happen is we want the young people to listen to these artists who their folks have listened to and say, whoa, y'all had this when you were growing up? This is cool, and get their ear, because they'll hear in this music, they'll hear the truth that can change and transform their lives.
And what's great about it is it's kind of a multi-generational tour, because people who, like you were saying, can bring their kids and say, hey, just just take a listen. I think to experience it live and to actually be there and have that live experience with all those people worshiping together, it's so different than just hearing the song. I introduced my son, he's 24, and I introduced him to Sandy Patty when she came through on her farewell tour, and he's like, I didn't know she sang opera. And I was like, it's not opera. I said, it's just really good singing you haven't heard in a long time. Like, I said, she was like, she was the, like, Taylor Swift of, or the Christina Aguilera of Christian music back then. Like, she was one of the things I mean, she's one of the few artists they were playing, because wasn't like there was 60,000 Christian stations going on back then. And you guys have survived the test of time, and I think it's because you guys are constantly kind of reinventing the wheel and figuring out where a different road for the wheel to go on. And if it's Eddie, we'll credit him partially, and we'll credit him and all your team. Your team, you must have a fabulous team around you as well, and you submit it to the Lord, and the Lord can open all kinds of doors. So I pray this tour does that. I hope that, like you were saying, I hope it encourages other artists if they're down. I think a lot of them are like, yeah, like, because I talked to Sandy Patty and I freaked out because I love her, and like she was like, well, we didn't even know if anybody'd come. I was like, are you kidding? But I think a lot of them think, I don't know if that'd work. And I think you guys can say, it worked.
Yeah.
So now come on our tour.
Prayer. We're praying that this will be the start. And so we're excited. We're just looking forward to it, seeing what God's going to do with it.
Well, you take care, and we just can't wait to see you guys and experience this whole thing. And thank you for putting it together. Thank Eddie for us. We're just very excited. By the way, one of our Instagram people, they did want to. His name is, I don't know. His Instagram name is Rock Music Master 116. But he said to tell you guys. He did have a question because all he could think of is telling you that you have been amazing role models to him, and especially Jake, because he's a drummer. And he just said he just wanted you guys to know that. He couldn't even think of a question. He just wanted you to know how much you had been a role model in his life. So I think we have so many people tell us that all the time.
Yeah, well, that'll get you on the bus and go again.
There you go. That's fuel for the bus.
That's it.
Well, you have a blessed day. Thank you for taking your time out of your day to talk to us, and thank you so much for this tour. It's going to be fantastic.
Well, I appreciate it, Ginger. Good to talk to you.